seem fine. Who are the people? Who's the couple? Who's the couple in the back row? To the right. Joanne. Okay. You ready? You guys ready over there? All right, here we go. North Smithfield Town Council, August 15th, 2022. Madam Clerk, will you lead us with the prayer and the pledge, please? Roll call, please.
Here.
Here. Here.
Here. Open forum pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 42-46-6. Are there any members out here in the audience that would like to be heard during open forum at this time? Mr. Lapia? Yes. Yep, come on up, right up to the podium. State your name and address.
Dennis Lapia, 2 Pheasant Run Road. I'd like to thank the entire council for the 2 additional firefighters, especially you, Mr. Beauregard, Kim, Claire, and Administrator Zwolinsky. Thank you for listening to my concerns over the last year. Mr. Zwolinsky, thank you for referencing my mother, who waited the 25 minutes for the rescue. Unfortunately, she's no longer with us. But I thank you for referencing her in the Valley Breeze a few times, a few stories. That's all I wanted to say. Just thank you so much. We know we need more staffing, definitely. Hopefully we can get more manpower on in due time. The other thing I wanted to mention was the North Smithfield athletes now have a concession stand and restrooms. Thank you again, Mr. Beauregard, for your leadership and spearheading this. In conclusion, I'd like to say that this community is fortunate to have a great town council and a great administrator. Together, you people working together will benefit the town. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lapia. It's very rare that we get somebody up there with such a positive message. We really appreciate it. It was a group effort. The whole town council supported the concession stand, bathrooms, and everybody supported the contract with the fire department. But I appreciate you speaking.
All right. Thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to be heard? Mr. Clifford?
Mike Clifford, 489 Black Plain Road. I'm just looking for the answer tonight, John, from the question that I've been asking over the last couple of months. And that's what I thought you would, hopefully.
So your question was regarding the solar farm, the unused portion of the solar farm with the about the taxes.
Yeah.
All right. And currently they are taxed.
How they stay in the farm, forest, and open space program.
Currently they are taxed at farm forest. And I checked with Cynthia, and she said that is a 100% correct rate. However, she couldn't change that. The town couldn't change that directly if they wanted to. That change could only be made through DEM. DEM would have to advise us, or we would have to request through DEM could we please change the status of that property? So currently, it's being taxed correctly because DEM has it listed as farm forest.
Well, what is it that the tax assessor receives every year? She mails them out in December, I believe it is, and then gets them back before February something. I forget the dates, but it's to certify from the owner that it's still in the forestry program and being forested.
Whatever it is, DEM is
Well,
support.
it came to her.
But DEM, the change can only be made through DEM. She can't decide, oh, you know what, or the council can't decide, or the administrator can't decide. DEM has to make the decision to change the status of that tax property.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anybody else here tonight that would like to be heard during open forum? Okay, we're going to move on. Executive session, discussion by council vote of the action around general law 42-46-5, sessions pertaining to collective bargaining or litigation or potential litigation. B, discussion by council vote of the action on Rhode Island General Law 42-46-5A7, sessions pertaining to a matter related to the question of the investment of public funds where the premature disclosure would adversely affect the public interest. Public funds shall include any investment plan or matter thereto. Infrastructure investment. Folks, we just have to go into executive session. This will not be a long one. The reason we do this now is because there are attorneys that are on the payroll, and if we let them sit here and wait during the whole meeting, the clock's going to be ticking, and they're going to have to get paid until the end of the meeting. So we're just going to move to open session, executive session right now, and I promise we'll make it as quick as possible. I'll entertain a motion to move into executive session at this time. Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Thanks for your patience. We will continue. You guys ready over there? Yep. I'm just gonna, everybody ready? Back on? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to come back into open session at this time.
So moved.
We'll indicate that one vote was taken and that to seal the minutes at this. Okay. So is there a motion? Oh, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. Discussion by council vote or other action on payment of bills. Does anybody have anything in the packet that they would like to discuss regarding the bills at this time? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the bills.
Mr. President,
Ms. Alice?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the bills dated August 16, 2022, in the amount of $2,969,978.94.
That was Ms. O'Hara that seconded that. I don't know if you heard her. Is there any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. No, Smithfield Town Council sitting as the Board of License Commissioners. Discussion by council vote of action on general business license. How do you pronounce that? Riyansh LLC, DBA Travelers Motor Lodge, located at 120 Eddie Dowling Highway. I'm sorry, 1210 Eddie Dowling Highway. What was I looking at? If everybody goes through, looks at their packet, you'll see that the packet that was provided by the clerk, everything seems to be in order. Does anybody have any questions for the gentleman? No questions at this time? I'll entertain a motion to approve. We have a motion to approve the application. Is there a second?
Second.
No, you can't. Ms. Vadney, second?
Yep.
Motion by Ms. O'Hara and seconded by Mr. Vadney. Any further discussion?
Just under discussion, how come we're seeing this late in the year right now for this? Is it something that just got overlooked, or? Yeah,
seen that it was pending,
Okay,
so.
that's why I was curious, because normally we do them in November, and
Yes,
we're a little past November.
yes, well, this is a, transfer of ownership,
Okay,
so they had applied separately for the,
okay.
ownership change.
Any other questions? Okay, roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, good luck, sir. Discussion by council vote of the action on consent agenda. All items listed in this section are considered in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless the council so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda. Would anybody care to have any items removed from the consent agenda for discussion?
Mr. President, the minutes of July 5th, 2022, please.
Minutes of July 5th. Okay. Anything else from anybody? Sure.
Same July 5th minutes.
Okay. Any other items removed? Entertain a motion to approve the items that were not removed from the consent agenda.
Mr. President, I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda of town council minutes of June 27th and July 7th of 2022, the animal control monthly report for July of 2022, the Smithfield Police Department monthly report for June and July of 2022, North Smithfield Municipal Court monthly report for June and July of 2022, and North Smithfield Fire and Rescue Service monthly report for June and July of 2022.
Second.
A second by Ms. Alves. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. Mr. Vadney, you wanted to discuss the meeting, the minutes?
Yeah, on July 5th, under the request by Freehold Council for a sound permit, I didn't recuse myself, I just abstained. And you might think it's a technicality, but there's a big difference in abstaining and recusing.
For the sound permit?
The second item under the sound permit, I had abstained from voting, I didn't have to recuse myself. That's all I had.
Mr. Zelinski, do you want to have anything?
Yes, Mr. President, you'll see from the minutes, June 27th, when I first was aware I contracted COVID. That's fine, I did not attend that meeting. But July 5th, absent were Town Administrator Walensky on July 5th. I made myself available. I was actually watching YouTube, and I know a couple of you knew that I was texting you with information and stuff. So I was available. Is there some way we can say that I was available? Due to COVID, I was off-site, but available.
Joan, can you add that to you can change that? Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions on July 5th? Okay, I would like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes from July 5th as amended.
Mr. President, I make a motion that we approve the minutes of July 5th as amended.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay, we're already down to old business. Discussion by council vote of action on update of municipal building review task force. Mr. Nordstrom's not here. Ms. Vadney, is there any updates?
The task force did meet with the administrator and the public works director 2 weeks ago to go over the concerns that the trust had issued in regards to the building over there. We did set up a meeting. Mr. Chairman and myself did go out to Hartford and met with Tecton to have them draw up a scope of work and a proposal going forward so that we can present to the council what we believe will need to be done to continue to occupy that building for the next 3, maybe 4 years to meet the trust requirements. So we're waiting to get something from them. While we were out there meeting with them, they were still continuing process of pricing out that job, and they've been meeting with a contractor to get an actual price from a contractor as opposed to an estimator to see how they line up. And they seem to think that they're getting somewhere now that pricing has stabilized and it's starting to come back the other way now, so it's not escalating out of control. So they're hoping that we'll be able to show you guys something early in the fall.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Vadney? Thank you, sir. Discussion by council vote of action and update of Heller Review Committee. Mr. Corvo.
Thank you. The Heller Review Committee did finalize the report that's going to be presented to the town council, and I know that there was some circulating dates. Originally, we had the joint meeting set for the 1st of September, and I know Joanne had sent out an email today to everybody here asking if the 8th was appropriate. Did you get responses from everybody? Okay, does that work? Okay, so that's September 8th, which is on a Thursday. Right? Yeah.
Okay.
And that has, Joanne, that has to be posted on the Secretary of State website, both from Hallowell and from Town Council? Is that right? Okay. Okay.
Is that it for today?
That's all. Thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Enright, you're up. Discuss by council vote of the action on court-ordered cleanup at 282 Quaker Highway. Appropriations of funds for final payment. You can update us on this mess?
So, the cleanup is basically complete as far as I think we could take it with the court order that we had. So the exterior of the property is in a lot better shape than it was when we started. I mean, as you can see, the amount of material that we pulled from the property in the list that I kind of provided. So we ended up a little over 100 tons of material.
100 tons.
Yeah, it was 45 dumpsters. We pulled some boats, 30 propane tanks, 101 tires, forklifts, a minivan, multiple lawn tractor, trailers. We had to take a rotted shed that was falling into the woods down, and thousands upon thousands of feet of webbing of some sort, like elastic type web. Probably 5 dumpsters worth of just that.
It's like the silk thing, the silk protection?
Some were elastic. It looked a lot like a parachute cord,
Oh, okay.
but a flat cord. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of rolls of it stored between the trailers, which we never saw. It was all buried in the trees and in the woods and behind a boat. So once we started to get in there, it went a lot deeper than we thought. So there was a lot more material there than anybody really thought in the beginning. So unfortunately, of course, the last push was one dumpster after another dumpster, and that's where we are today. You can see basically what the last number is, and I mean, I wish I had better news, but that's where we're at. We had almost 5 dumpsters that were kind of still floating in the middle when we did this last push. And then you start adding on the other 7, 8, 9 dumpsters that we took out that last 2 days. And that stuff was really heavy. It was saturated, and so I did provide you some documentation so you can see it. There's plenty of slips there from the dumpsters with the weights. There's 45 slips there. I did give you some pictures so you can kind of see some before and after. As you look through them, you see some areas that were clean, and I mean, I wish I had better news, but the cleanup was originally between 5 to 7 days, and I think we did about 18 days altogether. And there was some equipment brought in because there was no way to continue loading dumpster after dumpster by hand. So they had to bring some equipment in, but other than that, that's about it.
Did you need approval for the, Mrs. Zelinski, you need approval for the $16,500,
Yeah.
$16,657?
Before I address that, Mr. President, I would like to commend Mr. Enright. He spent most of his working day there observing, counting the dumpsters. I went out a few times. I actually bought Larry lunch one day because he said I can't go out, and got him out to lunch. He's put in a lot of time out there, and what I found very impressive, the tipping weights, the fees are what these gentlemen did was stack these dumpsters so there was not a lot of wasted space in them. They were heavy. But Larry was over there overseeing that. So, yes, we originally had 50,000. We asked for another 10. We're not done. We're not done. I mean, we can't go into the structures he has there because it's enclosed. He has stuff over there. So right now the yards are clean. And this afternoon, Larry and I drove by to take another look at it. So I think that no one could have predicted the amount of heavyweight material that had to come out of there. There's just no way to predict it. They actually got into it. As you got into it, you started seeing more, and it was just obliterated by what you saw, the forest and the trees. It was just unbelievable. So, again, I want to commend Larry for the job he's done.
Good job, sir.
From,
The person that, as I went
No, they were,
They,
the man hours that they put in and the amount of time that they were there, they worked constantly just to try to continue to get that property clean. I mean, it's amazing the amount of time that they put in just trying to get all the small stuff also just to get it clean. But, I mean, it was, I don't know, there's just so much stuff. I mean, it was just overwhelming. I've never seen anything that bad in my years of doing this. And I wouldn't have expected it to be that much there either, until you really started pulling down fences, and then you found another area, and then you pull another fence, and then there's another area there, and it just kept going and going and going into the woods. I mean, even the buildings, you know, you look at the buildings and they're filled from the front of the building to the back of the building, side to side and floor to ceiling. There's 2 trailers there that are full. I mean, it's just absorbing an amount of material. So,
Are we gonna keep an eye on that? Because before he cleaned, it looked pretty good from the front, and suddenly, when he thought he was safe, he started again.
I'm there once a week.
I got it like that. What can I tell you?
That's my normal route.
You know, I was at the barn one Saturday, getting rid of some scrap iron and some yard waste and whatnot, and my hand to God, someone was driving up, dropping off stuff in his yard while we're trying to clean it up on a Saturday, honest to God.
I believe it.
It's probably those little cars, or it's probably some little
Yep.
wheelchairs. He has
They
a-
were still showing up with stuff while we're trying to clean the property, and that's my biggest concern going forward, is that this will get back to where, maybe not to the same level, but it will get back. I couldn't get my phone out fast enough to get a video, I'm not that tech savvy. I tried to. But I was amazed. And the fire trucks are there pulling up, getting gas when I was there, but I'm just watching and I see this guy pull up and they're taking stuff off, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
One guy showed up when I was actually there cleaning with a truckload of those Power Wheel cars. And I told the gentleman, I said, just keep on going. Just don't even bring them in. Because they keep bringing them,
He's just gonna come back another day.
and he keeps trying to buy them.
You clean up the front of the house, over the, stone wall, and then, as you went by, it was like most tiny things.
Yeah, the piles grew and grew and grew, that's for sure.
You know, from when he gave us the first invoice for almost 50,000, he went up 14 more dumpsters and 45,000 more pounds of trash.
It's a lot of material.
And it's a lot of material, it is. One of the concerns I have, I'm not saying it didn't do work, and you know, it's gotta look better than it did. I give you that. Is his billing, though, he's billing us at $350 for a dumpster, but when he gave me when you gave me a copy of all of his slips, he's not paying $350 for a dumpster. He's paying $250 and $275 per dumpster. Why are we paying $350 per dumpster?
I believe that's the way he bills it out. That must be the way that because a lot of the hand work that he does there, we weren't getting, like all the steel dumpsters that they took out of there, we didn't pay anything for
Right,
the
he took-
steel, we paid for the dumpster alone. But we also didn't really pay for the man-hour, the work to get all that in, and he didn't charge us for the equipment either. Like the excavator, the Bobcat, the tow trucks, he didn't back charge us for any of that. The only thing I think we did do is pay the man-hours for the operator. So he tried to help as much as he could, and he did try to give us a break on the tires. Tires are extremely expensive to get rid of, and so are the propane tanks. But he tried to get them lumped into a package. So, I mean, I think he gave us a pretty good deal for what he had to do. And I think that's how they make their money, is by charging a certain amount. And then, I mean, I wish I had a better answer for that, but I get, you know, that's what he told us up front, that he was gonna charge us for the dumpster. So I expected it to be at that cost, and evidently that's how he's making a little bit extra money on them.
It's his business,
That's,
right? I'm sorry, so are we looking for approval for the 16,000 plus? Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve an additional $16,557.50 to this project, which would be added to the lien that already exists on that property.
second.
Yeah. The amount is $16,657.50. And Ms. Alves seconded. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You're gonna make a motion to pay the bill?
That's what he did, right?
No, what we did was we just transferred money so we can pay the bill.
Okay.
That's what we owe them.
Oh, okay, I got you.
All we did was we moved more money into that line item
Okay,
on the lien.
all right, thank you. Do you want to make,
Mr. President,
Mr.
I
Vadney?
make a motion that we authorize payment to Joe Baxter in the amount of $27,453.50.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Just under discussion.
Yeah.
Mr. Enright, he is all done on the property now? This is the last bill we'll get from him
As far as we're gonna go at this time.
at this time? And David, we document everything now for the lien on that property is all documented, or we'll have all the documentation on the cost that will back it up, correct?
There should be a judgment lien entered, I didn't realize it, obviously, but there should be a judgment lien entered and filed with the, signed by the judge and recorded in the recorder of deeds office, so that anybody who's buying the property or estate happens, they see the lien on the
Right.
property.
And the lien is ours,
Right, the lien would be to the town.
hopefully with the first number in the lien too.
And any transfer of that property would require that lien to be paid.
That's through the municipal court.
That's my understanding of where the order was entered.
Okay. Just want to make sure we get all this stuff lined up, because we just spent $80,000.
You know. We don't get interest on that either, do we?
Unfortunately, Mr. President, we don't.
So in a sense, we do lose because we lose through inflation.
Well, I think inflation-wise, I don't know how much more trash can be accepted at the Johnston landfill.
I mean, if he doesn't sell his,
I don't know what the tipping fees are gonna escalate to, so if you want to start looking at those numbers, then maybe the tipping fees are going, they're going to go up. So right now, tipping fees are not probably be less this year, then next year, or the year after. So it's tough, and you have to start making an actual to figure all this stuff out.
yeah. All right, thank you. Did we vote?
No, we didn't.
Mr. Vadney made the motion, and Ms. Alves seconded. Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 I'm sorry, where did Mr. Vaughn have Mr. Vaughn? And I'm a yes, too. Okay. Where am I? Oh, there we are. Discussion by council, vote of the action on North Smithfield Fire and Rescue Contract. This goes from the period covering July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2025. And this is for an authorization to sign the contract. I know there's been a lot of concern and discussion about this. And did you have a chance to go over everything?
I did.
So is it what we agreed on in the last 2 weeks ago?
I hope it is. In fact, I just want to make clear the last revision that we obtained was August 4th from, I believe, Mr. Igliozzi, and that revision to the wording that we were concerned with was during the term of the contract, the North Smithfield Fire Rescue Service and town agree to review minimum staffing each year during the budget review process. Is that still the wording that we've all agreed to?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. And our only other concern was, and it was a question, I think it's been answered through a chain with our finance director, that the funding for our 2 new firefighters will be disseminated in accordance to Section 5 of our contract. In other words, that money, that 216 would be broken down into 12ths and then also disseminated along with the standard contract funding. Is that correct as well?
Mm-hmm.
Almost, 2 12ths up front, July and August.
Correct.
You get 2 12s, but you want.
Section 5 clarifies the actual.
Your concern was the
distribution.
216 was divided into 12s.
We wanted to make certain that those fundings would become available so that our new firefighters would also be able to get paid. They'd probably enjoy that as well. Finally, just a quick thing, on behalf of the Board of Directors and certainly my negotiating team of Ken Thompson, Dan O'Brien, and Paul Jones, we'd like to thank you all for your due diligence in this process. In this contentious of times, it's nice to know that we could sit down and actually talk and listen to each other, something that's kind of unique. Mr. Carvo, Mr. Vadnais, I know you don't know me. My name is Michael Crapo.
Oh, I do know you.
I have one word for you. You're very fortunate that you don't. Most people leave from meeting with me with 2 things, a headache and a prescription for hearing aids. The board, I want to thank you again for your kindness, your diligence. Mr. Administrator, thank you. I know it's been dogged. We haven't set any land speed records here in getting this done. But if doing this right and making certain that we get all our dot our I's and cross the T's, then it's well worth it. So what do you say, tomorrow morning? Want to sign this contract?
I think with approval tonight, I can sign it tonight.
Even better. Thank you.
Thank you. And if you, just real quick, if you saw you were here at the beginning of the night when you saw the gentleman come up, he was thrilled about adding 2 extra and trying to get that extra rescue on the road. And that seems to be the sentiment of a lot of people in town.
I think that wisdom that was brought about and discussed with this council and certainly through concerns of the residents is true. As the former firefighter spending 27 years, basically in rescue, I can appreciate having that extra manpower. I think it will pay dividends far beyond what we can ever imagine. And there'll be stories that'll be told one day, and you'll appreciate how that's happened. I certainly am the recipient of a manpower situation. I won't bore you with the details, but I can tell you that your wisdom and your foresight in this, in strengthening the department, only makes this town a better town. And I thank you again.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Mr. Vadnais.
make a motion that we approve contract by and between the town of North Smithfield and the North Smithfield Fire and Rescue Service from July 1st of 2022 through June 30th of 2025, as presented, and authorize the administrator to sign it.
Second.
We have 2 seconds on that, Joanne?
I think everybody wanted a second on this,
You want a second?
Yeah, I could throw in a second.
Any further discussion on this?
Just on the discussion, David, you hit all the points that we talked about the last time, so thank you for going through this the way you worded everything. I think it covers everything the way we need it to. Thank you.
While we're giving accolades out, I just want everyone to know that Mr. Igliozzi put in hours upon hours of fielding phone calls with me, and just to make sure that I just want to commend him for his work as well.
And you guys were here 2 weeks ago. You were concerned. You didn't think, you had your doubts, right? Oh, you did.
I was a volunteer fireperson in 1977 at Burnout.
We again, can't thank you enough for all your due diligence, and I know that Mr. Igliozzi, certainly for the 35,672 revisions you made, it helped. I know a great hand served in the effort to develop the fusions contractual. We can take care of that.
Well, good job by the men and women on the fire department. Thanks enough. So,
We appreciate your support.
Thank you.
Seriously, thank you.
Mr. Crapo, I'm going to give this to you to sign, but you need the chief to sign it as well. So it's in your good hands.
did we? That's what I just asked her.
Oh, I like to get ahead of myself.
All right, so Joanne, roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay. Okay, we're gonna move on to new business. Discussion by council vote of the action on award for other post-employment benefits actuarial valuation services, OPEB. Mr. Jesus?
Yes, I put out a bid for our OPEB actuarial evaluation services that we have to do each year, and I received 3 bidders, and the lowest bidder was, and I can't pronounce that, but Danziger Markov LLP, and they're actually the actuarials that did our OPEB for the past few years, and I work very well with them, and they're really responsive, as they should be, because they do tie to my audit, and if they're behind, then they make my audit behind. So I asked the council to approve the bid to be accepted at $5,950 for fiscal '22, $1,050 for fiscal '23, $6,050 for fiscal '24, and $1,090 for fiscal '25. And the lower amounts are the interim reports. The higher amounts are for the full report. Yes, and I would like authorization for the town administrator to sign approving the bid. Thank you. Accepting the quote, the bid, please.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve Danziger and Danziger Markov LLP as the low bidder?
Mr. President,
Ms. Alice?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the bid from Danziger Markov LLP for the OPEB actuarial evaluation services for FY '22, a full report for $5,950, FY '23 interim report, $1,050, full year '24 report for $6,050, and full year '25 interim report for $1,090, as per recommendation of Finance Director, and also give authorization for the town administrator to sign.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Mr. President, if I may.
Yeah.
The signatory page, I'm going to ask you to change that around, as it states, the last page, it just says approval signature and title. Tomorrow I'm going to ask the town clerk to either get it from Danziger and Markov, and possibly to say town administrator, town of Smithfield, and then I'll sign it. It's just kind of, I just don't like the format.
Okay. Is that good?
But
Okay.
if you approve it, I'll sign it tomorrow.
Okay. You good, Joanne? Okay, roll call, please. Yeah, Paul second.
Yes.
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 Yes. Discussion by council vote of let me try that again. Discussion by council vote of the action on penalty and tax adjustments. Mr. Jesus?
The new real estate and tangible taxes went out, and people are registering their cars, so they all come in to get some penalty adjustments. So I'm asking the town council to adjust the proposed adjustments that I'm proposing of $3,176.35.
Anybody have any questions, Mr. Jesus, on this? Is there a motion to approve?
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the penalty adjustments per Finance Director in the amount of $3,176.35.
Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. Discussion by council vote of the action on salaries and wage ordinance for 2022, 2023. This is a first reading. Mr. Jesus?
This is just a wage ordinance that we do each year after the budget is approved and adopted. It just shows the fiscal 2022 salaries and wages and the fiscal 2023 salaries and wages. The only ones that are not updated is the police, as we're still in negotiations.
Okay, anybody have any questions on this?
Mr. President, I make a motion that we approve the ordinance of the Town of North Smithfield, Chapter 13, the Town Code of Ordinances, compensation, salary, and wages, as presented for first reading.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Alves?
Yes.
Mr. Carver?
Yes.
Mr. O'Hara? Yes. Mr. Vadney,
Yes.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes. Ms. St. George? The discussion by council vote of the action on request for appeal of senior tax stabilization. This is regarding the letter in our packet, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So if you're aware, we have a senior stabilization program. There's about 25 people in the program. This is on the agenda because in the ordinance it states that they have the right to bring it to council. They had to leave, they were here, they did have to leave. So I understand where they're coming from. I guess the mother passed away, Anita Shavit, and Denise, the daughter, they sold the house, and so Mrs. Shavit was in the program from 2017 to 2021. Basically, the program is, once they enter into that program, depending on their income, their taxes are basically frozen at the rate that they come in. And if the tax rate changes, whatever it increases, it's deferred until either they sell the home, pass away, or say they transferred it to someone else's name, they wouldn't qualify, I believe, or they can have a written request to opt out of the program at any time. She was just upset because I guess when she applied, nobody explained to her how the program works. It is attached to the form when they sign it. I do explain, since I've been here, I do explain the pros and cons to the program. So she just wanted to basically explain her situation, and she's been a resident of the town. As a tax assessor, as a person, I totally understand her situation. As a tax assessor, I don't, if it does pass, I don't agree because that opens it up for everyone in the program to come in and basically be in the program and then come in and say, I want to go to council and opt out of it and not pay us back. She has a total of $4,270.33 that is due back. There is no interest in this program. We do have about 25 people in the program now. So again, it just opens it up for a lot of, do you have a question?
All right, yes, this one was put forth by the state of Rhode Island, am I right, this program, deferred?
No, this is something that the town created.
This is something that the town created this, had to be 14 years,
Right.
16 years ago.
All right, because I had written this at that time as well. Deferred, and you have freeze and deferred, and it explains it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it initially was signed by the mother, who could have been older.
She is the power of attorney. Each year I send out a form because they have to submit their income. I'm sorry?
So the daughter has signed it.
Yeah, she's the power of attorney, so the daughter signed it.
It's written, the clarification paper is right up there.
But it was on her mother's house.
Yes. And she was the power of attorney, and she was also in the program. They both entered at the same time. She has recently opted out of it. She does understand she has to pay it back, but she was just looking for relief for her mother's home.
Which she has since sold.
Yes, she has sold it. The mother did pass away, I believe in April, I'm not sure.
So when they enter this program, I understand, don't want to get into all the details, I understand that if taxes are frozen and the increase accrues till they sell the house.
Yep.
Is it like a lien, David, that we put on this, or?
There is a lien on it.
And so they
yes.
sold the house and the town got their money.
Actually,
We haven't received it yet. They have, I believe, 6 months to submit payment. After that, there is a penalty. Usually it comes off the closing. They will submit it to us, but they do have 6 months. We haven't received it yet, so I haven't released the lien yet.
Mr. Van Ace, it was on the MLC that we submitted to their attorney, and that's how this all came up, because they seen these taxes were due for so many years, and the lawyer called and wanted to know what this program was about and so forth, and then the daughter came in. So as far as them switching the title of the house, I don't know if that's already been done, but the MLC is a legal document, and they're responsible for it.
No, my question was, though, that, and you kind of answered the question, there's a lien on the property.
Yes.
So when they go to sell it,
There is.
that should have been done at the closing, but for whatever
Right.
reason, they didn't do that.
I really think the attorney's holding the money
Okay,
in an escrow, waiting for our decision.
okay.
Well, it says here, they said at the closing, they were shocked how 6,100, so
That,
is 6,100 the amount of taxes because you just said like 4,000, right?
well, the $4,270.33 is what's for the deferment. The rest of that was her current taxes, because we just submitted that, so that included
So
2020.
that was the entire tax bill that's due to the town?
Yep.
Okay,
Upon selling the property.
right. I mean, do we have the backup that everything was signed?
Yes.
We do, so,
Do you think in the future we could have something to try to explain, to make sure, but they are loyal
Yeah,
all along. I can't see it.
I do attach
They have all this
the
information.
documents
You gotta
to the application, so when they do sign it, I do explain the pros and cons to them, because a lot of people don't read a lot of our stuff we hand out. So I do explain what's beneficial to it and what is not.
I mean, this application, this is what they fill out for an application? So it's
Yeah.
not like it's just check off the box and sign here, there's a lot of,
Yes. And then
A lot of
every year,
documentation that goes with it.
yeah, it's not like someone could just mistakenly fill out this paperwork, right? I mean, I
And-
understand, like you said, as a,
Mm.
homeowner, but the taxes have to go somewhere, unfortunately, right?
and then we do have a annual renewal form, so once you're in in the program, we do send it out, because they have to submit their income.
To make sure that they're continuing on the program.
Yes, and make sure, and it's total household income. She was just on the house, I guess her husband passed, so it was just her, but if you're in the program, it's total household. So you're both people that have income in the house, or four, how many people there are. But there is a form that they signed every year after being in that program.
So every year they have to renew that form.
Is the contract in language the same each year?
Yes.
Okay. Meaning it's not just a form that they just sign. They
No.
would have had to have seen this language.
Yes.
Okay.
Right, they have to it's almost like reapplying every year.
Mhm.
I mean, I think we'd all like to help them out, but it's pretty clear what we have to do.
Yeah, we can't.
We can't do it.
We can't approve this.
Right.
That's a
Exactly.
slippery slope we'll never get out of.
Right. Unfortunately, we do this, then like you said, everybody's gonna be coming along to, and rightfully so, I would too, if we open the gates and,
Yeah.
I know the administrator, when he was on the council, was a champion of this program to keep seniors in their house, knowing that you can live there and your taxes are frozen, so they don't keep increasing, knowing that when they sold the house, more than likely at a profit, that money would be returned back to the town, but they would be able to stay in the house at a fixed cost. That was the whole point of it, to try to keep people in their houses rather than selling their houses and having families come, well, not only that, but having families come in with children and going into the school system. It was a way to try to control the population a little bit. And so you have to just read the details, and I think it's pretty clear, and no one's happy when their parents die or when anyone dies and stuff, but it's clear that there's a process here, and they followed it, and they understood it, and so.
Mr. President, if I may, I'd like to thank Mr. Vadney for providing the history. I did co-author that, and I think it had to be 16 years ago. And it was co-authored for the reason that Councilor Vadney said. It was to help our seniors stay in their home. A couple things to remember. This is interest-free. This is straight money. They got the present value of money at that time to spend, you know, against inflationary pressures that they would have to face. The other piece, I thought so much of this program is that I called my dad up. He was living in Cumberland. I said, Dad, if your community does this, let's sit down and talk. I actually spoke to 2 councilors in Cumberland back then. I'm saying, you should consider this for your residents. Whether they did or not, I lost track of that. My dad passed, but things of that nature. These are things we do to keep our citizens and seniors in their homes. And I think it's a heck of a program. People hear the word lean and they get frightened. Well, this was a $4,270 loan, interest-free. That I guess the power of attorney, the family members read it. They came in every year and signed it. But I do have to agree with council. You open this up, it's not a slippery slope. It's an avalanche. So, thank you.
Just to clarify, how many seniors take advantage of this tax stabilization plan?
Currently it's about 23.
23?
2 have just recently been removed.
Okay,
But beginning of this year, we had 25 in the program.
okay.
So when you say removed, they just didn't renew their paperwork, or they sold their
Yeah, I
house?
believe one passed, but then someone new applied. And then the daughter of Mrs. Shavit, she just removed herself from it. But a lot of them have been in the program for a while. Like, the oldest one I have is 2006, they entered. So, I do have the current year for all of them. I can show you if you would like. I don't have a total, because each one is different, but I can get you that total if you want it.
Yeah, we don't have to go there.
And this is, like he said, it is interest-free. I know Cumberland, they do, it's actually a 2% on top of what's deferred. I'm not sure how many municipalities do a penalty, but we actually don't have one, which is a benefit.
So now this payment would be, when this payment is usually made, is it just a one-time payment?
Yep. And they have 6 months.
6 months to pay?
Mm-hmm. And then we also have like payment programs they could go on.
So we do have a payment program that they could,
But
Yeah.
if they sold the house and they made it proper, they can just.
Yeah, usually, normally, I've done, I think, 3 or 4 since I've been here, and normally it just comes right from the closing, because it's on the lien, on the MLC when they get it.
so they're, yeah, because they're saying 6,100 was done at the closing, so that money's already been taken. They're just
Yeah.
trying to appeal for us to give it back, right?
So they can keep it.
So it's not like we're taking, like, they have to go make this payment now, because it's already been
Yeah,
taken?
no, it's already
Okay.
been removed.
All right.
Do you know how many cities and towns in this area with certain stipulations about lunch time, living in town, age, et cetera, that has a program for a freeze, a total freeze?
I don't know how many off the top of my head. I know for a fact Foster has a freeze, and I believe it's frozen, and you don't have to pay it back. I know there's a few. I don't know off the top of my head how many. Yeah, with this program, you have to be here for 7 to qualify. 7 years.
So anybody else have any further questions on this? So,
Mr. President,
yes.
I make a motion that we deny the appeal by Mrs. Tessier.
Unfortunately, second.
Any further discussion? Yeah, I agree. I mean, these are the hard things we have to do, but it's just, you know, a lot can go wrong with this one if we approve it. Anybody else? Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion by council vote of action on expanding parking lot at Veterans Memorial Stadium. I asked for this to be put on the agenda, or I put this on the agenda, and just give you a little background. A few weeks ago, we had a discussion about the parking up at the field and the dangerous parking and on the off-street parking that it was causing up there. We even had somebody that got hit by a car crossing the street because they parked on the other side. Shortly after that conversation, I was checking up on the progress at the bathrooms and concession stand, and I was speaking with a representative from Green Development, and they said to me, what do you think about the possibility of putting solar canopies in the parking lot? So I said, well, I can't make that decision myself. I said, but let me ask you this. I said, we have a real parking problem here. Every time there's an event, we get parking up on the street, and it's causing a big issue. I don't know if it's worth it to you. I don't know if it's worth it to the town, but why don't you look into the possibility of doubling our parking lot into the hill? And if you put solar canopies on that I would like to bring to the council to find out if it's advantageous to the town and if it's advantageous to you to do that. Maybe we can come up with some kind of agreement with the town and the school committee to expand the parking lot, which would be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars to put a new parking lot in up there. Expand the parking lot, allow solar canopies on there if it's advantageous to the town. That person came back to me and they said, I would like to talk to the town. I would like to do a presentation to the town council. So I would like to suggest that we allow Green Development to do a presentation to the council and the school committee, a joint meeting, they would expand the parking lot. This is just a very general overview. They would expand the parking lot. They would put solar canopies over the center row of parking, basically doubling the size of the parking lot. And in return, we would get a free parking lot at the stadium, an additional 50 or 60 spots up there, which would take all the parking off the street. Also, we would have to make another entrance, but the state would have to get involved with that. But that's devil's in the details. I'd like to hear what their presentation is. I don't know all the details that they want to offer. The conversation ended at me saying, I will go back to the council and I will see if they would be in favor of a presentation at a joint meeting with the school committee. So I think it has potential, but I would like to hear what they have to say because, like I said, if it's not a win for the town, then it's a no. But if it's a win for the town and it works out for them, then maybe we can have another opportunity for a parking lot at no cost to the town. Right, it doesn't cost us anything but time to listen to what they have to say. Does anybody have any questions? That's pretty much was the extent of the conversation. It was a brief conversation, but I think it's worth looking into.
Mr.
Yeah,
President?
please.
Yeah, I want to commend you for looking into this. As everyone knows, the way folks are looking at solar energy now, most people would like to see it over parking lots, areas that are already denuded, the trees are gone, and it's a bonus. And to follow up on what you said, Route 5 is a dangerous road and parking, so as far as a different ingress and egress, I will certainly, if council wants to move forward and look into this, I will certainly request the town planner to work with potential development of the solar panels, and we would seek a physical alteration permit, a PAP, to get over onto Route 5, because one bottleneck entrance could be a problem. I think we'd need two. So those are things that would have to be ironed out, and the town planner, myself, council members, whoever wants to assist But it's an engineering thing, and that company does have some pretty good engineers working for it. Thank you, Mr. President, for bringing this forward.
Thank you. Does anybody have any other comments or questions? Like I said, it's in the details. I don't know all the details, but I'd like to hear what they have to say,
What they got to say.
and there'd be no harm in doing that. So what I'm looking for is we would set up a joint meeting, a vote to approve them to put them on the agenda for a joint meeting with the school committee. And I think they would be in favor of at least also hearing what they have to, what Green Development has to say. And also, another note is, what I would also suggest, I might be getting ahead of myself, but we can have another paving contractor give us a price and what it would actually cost and what the benefit actually is, instead of just taking one person's word for it that they're giving us a value of whatever, $200,000 or $300,000. We can have another contractor, even if we got to pay him a couple of $100, come in and give us a price as to do exactly the job of paving the parking lot. So we would know exactly where we stand and what we're getting. So that's about it, unless anybody has any questions on this issue. Okay, so I guess what I'm looking for is a vote to approve a joint meeting with the school committee where they would, we would hear a presentation from Green Development for expanding the parking lot.
You're making a motion?
No, I'm looking for a motion.
I'd like to make a motion of the town council meeting with Green Development to you a presentation on expanding the parking lot with using of solar cover.
Solar canopies.
Solar canopies in that area.
Thank you. That's a motion. Do we have a second?
Second, with discussion. Did you mention a joint meeting with school committee as well?
I'm sorry. Yeah, do I have to start all over?
No, you don't have to start all over. You can just add that. And if it, if they do the presentation and if it doesn't work for the town, then we thank them very much for their time and we move on.
If you set that meeting up, make sure that Alan CP is there. If nobody else.
And we have a second. Any further discussion or questions? Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. Thank you. Discussion by council, vote of the action on repairs and pavement restoration at Town Hall parking lot. Mr. Zelinski?
Thank you, Mr. President. I think that anybody in this room can testify that that parking lot is dangerous. We've had people fall. Somebody, you guys mind clipping off your mics? We're getting feedback. How about I just speak loudly? Will that work?
Try it again. I had my mic on. I'm sorry.
So I guess everyone understands that parking lot's dangerous. I would hate like heck to see someone fall and get a hip injury out there. We've had people fall. Thank goodness they were understanding residents and said, I'm okay. We may not be so fortunate in the future. Public safety. What exacerbates the situation is we're coming up on primary elections, and we've been notified by the Secretary of State that we have to have that parking lot safe. So with that all being said, there's two proposals. I'm going to let Mr. Pendergast, sorry, Ray, I was starting to take your thunder there. You want to present the rest of it?
I'm going to pass this to the finance director right now.
Okay.
We were actually going to table it till September 6th.
This is good.
Well,
Well, this is the first I've heard of it.
Well, if I may, then let me go, so I won't put Cynthia on the spot. No question the parking lot needs to be done. No question needs to be completely taken up. You can't cold plane that parking lot, it will just fall apart. The way it was made is not asphalt. It was made by pouring liquid asphalt and backing sand trucks over it for years and years. That's how they did the parking lots back then. So that's why it's so cracked and rippling and everything. So it does need to be replaced. We looked at replacing it when we did this building. We didn't get good numbers when we were looking at it. They weren't favorable in not knowing where we stood with the second piece of the thing, which we still don't know where we stand with the second piece of the thing. So that being said, I understand it needs to be replaced. The question that I asked of the solicitor and the finance director was, the way this is worded, we can't go forward with this. $189,000, we would need to go out to bid on this thing. Because we just can't alter a bid document with Miozy that we did for road resurfacing and add a change order that has nothing to do with it because 5 other guys or 4 other companies bid on this work. There are ways to get, I don't want to say get around it, there are ways to get this done, if we need to get it done through like an MPA or whatever. But the way this is presented to us right now, I don't think we can go forward with this. We would need to get bids on it to go forward this way, or use an MPA, which is already a state bid list, to go forward with this. But we can't just alter, we just can't alter Miozy's contract that's already been awarded to him for street. This has nothing to do with that. And with other guys bidding on it, we'd open ourselves up to some guy saying, oh, wait a minute, I didn't get a chance to bid on that. That's my concern. And we've seen it, we saw it on this project early on in the process, when it first went out to bid. So that was my concern, and so I raised it with the solicitor and the finance director. So that's where, now I think Cynthia knows, that's where we are now.
Mr. President, obviously, we have to comply with the state bidding law, and there are only a limited number of ways you can award a contract. This contractor we know is on the, I just learned from the, talking with the finance director, is on the state master price agreement list. I spoke with Mr. Pendergast about trying to sort that out and confirm that there's no maximum limitation on it. If there isn't, our goal would be to try to actually put it back for the council on a special meeting, if we can avoid, going out to bid if we're, and again, and I will also look at the contract. I didn't know this was an issue. Nobody raised it as an issue until today. So I can look at the contract and see if there's any way that the contract can be expanded. But I want to put that issue aside. The simplest, cleanest way is if they're on the MPA and there's no limitation on the cost, then you have every right to use them. If it's a recommendation of the director and the purchasing agent, is supposed to make the recommendation to the council. If they make that recommendation, you have every right to do that. But I think we need to confirm that the MPA does not exceed this amount, does not limit this amount, and 2, alternately, that if, I don't want to foreclose this approach, I just can't confirm that this approach works.
You know, I got to say, I tend to agree with Mr. Vadney on this one. I think you put it out to bid, and they're going to compete with, they know that somebody else is bidding on it, and I think it's just going to benefit us as far as the price goes. I mean, Miozy's tough to beat because they make their own asphalt, and they have their own plant and everything like that, but so do a few other places in the state. So I agree, Mr. Vadney. I think.
Well, part of the issue is, and I understand the urgency to getting this done. I understand that. And so if you want to go out to bid now you've got to get an engineer to give you a bid spec, which is going to detail all the details in it. And that's a whole different ballgame now, getting that bid spec so you can send it out to bid. It's out there for 2 weeks, then you got to review them and everything, and then and so we could be in November or we could be in April before we get it done. The MPA would give you the opportunity to go forward now, but there may be other vendors out there on the MPA as well that you could get a proposal from. We only got a proposal from one trying to piggyback his road reclamation, which I think isn't the right way to do it, but David would have to do more research on it. But we could certainly look at MPAs, and I'm sure Tom Miozy is not the only guy on the MPA list. Like you say, there are numerous asphalt guys out there, D'Ambra, Lynch, Cotty, they're all out there.
And they all have their own plants.
And they all get their own plants, and so it may be that someone else may give us a better proposal.
Is that all right, Ray? Like, what do you think? I think it's worth hearing from a couple other companies.
I spoke to the solicitor with
All right, great.
It's just the timeline of making the
All right.
primary election, that's it.
Okay.
I'm all for, hey, we get a better price.
I don't think you'd make the primary election on the 13th of September. I don't think it would get done by then.
Well, if, my OC comes back as the low bidder, which he normally does on the MBA, he will.
Yeah, he's good.
Right. But we will go by state law, we will go to the MBA, and I'll have an answer by next week.
Thank you. All right, so there'll be no action on this. Are you Greg? Yeah. I'm sorry, I should have put you out right up front, I apologize. I sat through all of this. I apologize.
I think Greg may have second thoughts
Yeah,
now.
I don't blame him.
He's poli-sci, he's hardened, he'll get it.
Sorry about that. All right. So, Greg Burnout is here. He's interested in being placed on the Parks and Rec. And as you can see, his application was in our packet, along with a resume, which is unusual. It's nice.
Mr. President, I reached out to, actually, Dr. Burnup had reached out to town clerk saying he had interest to come on board. It's refreshing to see folks that are anxious to come on, serving on boards. His curriculum vitae is just outstanding. But what you don't see, if you read the application, he spent many a year facilitating camps in the summer. So he gets Parks and Rec. I'm nominating him for the position to become a member of the Parks and Rec Committee.
Mr. Burnett, if I wasn't on the council, I'd be on Parks and Rec. I think it's a great, they do a lot of great things. We have a lot of good things going on in town. We did the Smithfield Days. They do a great job with that. What else? We got this Dinners Under the Stars coming up pretty soon. Right. They're all working on that. They did Kids Day in the Park. They do a lot of really good things, and it's a very active group, and there's some very good people on it too.
Yeah, my wife and I just had a son a few months ago.
Okay,
so
congratulations.
What's that? Number one, yeah. So thinking about getting kids involved in the community, makes sense.
Yeah, they got really great people on that board.
That's my nomination, Mr. President. Hopefully the council will approve.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion at this time.
Mr. President,
Ms. House?
I'd like to appoint Dr. Gregory Burnout to the Parks and Rec Commission to serve a completion of a 2-year term ending on 11/30/2022.
Second the nomination.
We have a motion and a second?
Madam President, Mr. President.
Yeah.
Madam Vice President. I'm being reminded.
Yeah, gee, thanks.
I'm being reminded by the clerk that this is a administrative appointment without council.
Oh, it is?
Required, but it's good to have the council support.
Well, we waited so long, yeah.
That's right.
So the town administrator appoints to the Parks and Rec. That's all right.
Be reminded by the clerk.
So the motion is then to approve the administrator's recommendation. Okay, and we already have a motion. So just roll call, please.
Yes.
It's contagious.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. I think that covers it. Right? Yeah. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn at this time.
Adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Brian?